Back in January, we started off the 2023-24 season with a 3-day trip to Whitefish, Montana. This is the second ski resort I've been to in Montana, the first one being Big Sky, and Whitefish is really underrated. It's a decent sized mountain with a variety of difficulty levels, and the crazy part is when it snows, all the trees get covered in snow. When the trees are like that, they're called snow ghosts. But now we gotta talk about their lifts, so let's go ahead and get started.
Big Mountain Express. This 2007 Doppelmayr C-Tech high-speed quad is the flagship of Whitefish, running from the main village up to the summit. The old lift that this lift replaced lives at Swift Creek, right next door. Because this lift is the only lift on the front side that reaches the summit, sorry Snow Ghost, wait times can be long, but they usually die down within a few minutes. Also, this lift is the longest lift on the mountain, and the views you get are pretty epic, assuming it's not hazy and foggy like it is in this video. One little quirk about this lift is that during the summer, it acts as a gondola with some gondola cabins left over from the former Glacier Chaser, which I think is pretty cool. So this lift is really a workhorse all around. Also, during the early part of the 2023-24 season, downloading was available on this lift because there wasn't a ton of snow for the top to bottom runs. Big Mountain will get a 3.5 out of 5.
Swift Creek Express. This Doppelmayr high-speed quad originally began its life as Glacier Chaser in 1989, and in 2007, when Big Mountain Express came in, this lift was moved to the Swift Creek area next door. This lift has some great cruiser trails like Swift Creek, Home Again, Ed's Run, and Lacey Lane is one way to access Hellroaring Basin without having to take Big Mountain Express. It also is usually less crowded than Chair 1, as it was a walk-on during my trip, so the lift gets a 4.5 out of 5. Tenderfoot. This 1975 Theocult Triple serves the terrain park on the western side of the resort, as well as ski in and ski out access for homeowners. The terrain park is fun, but other than that, there's nothing else to it. It doesn't get you anywhere useful, and the lift runs pretty slow at times. This gets a 2.5 out of 5.
Snow Ghost Express. Oh, don't freak out yet! You're seeing Lenawee Express at Arapahoe Basin! Let me explain. The Snow Ghost chairlift was down for maintenance and testing during our trip, so I did not get to record it. Lenawee is similar to Snow Ghost, built the same year, and they're both Light Palma high-speed 6-packs. Anyway, Snow Ghost was built in 2022 to provide direct lift access from the base lodge, ending along the Inspiration Ridge. It doesn't go all the way to the summit, but you can reach East Rim and Hellroaring Basin from the top without using any other lift, though you can still reach those areas from the Big Mountain Express. Even though it wasn't open during my trip, the lift had taken some pressure off chairs 1 and 6 while it was running, and with its direct drive and all the kinks worked out, I'm sure it'll run more reliably in the coming years. Snow Ghost will get a 3.5.
East Rim. This C-Tech Triple originally ran up the main face where the Snow Ghost Express currently runs, but was moved to an expert terrain section within the front side in 2017. Back when it was Glacier View, it had little use, but the current lift serves some decent cruisers and some killer runs that run off a massive cliff. Which, by the way, if you're not good with heights, this is not the lift for you. This lift goes up really high in the beginning, but mellows out towards the top. Even though this is a slower lift, it has some awesome terrain, and that climb up over the cliff makes the ride more exciting. 5 out of 5.
Base Lodge. This 1992 C-Tech quad starts at the Base Lodge, as the name implies, and ends at the Big Mountain and Switch Creek lifts. This is really only a lift you arrive once just to get out of the Base Lodge area. Now that the Snow Ghost Express starts close by, most people would take that out of the Base Lodge. In addition to this lift opening earlier in the morning and running in the summer, the lift serves as a beginner lift. However, it isn't that great of a beginner lift because of its snail pace and it slows and stops frequently. At one point when we were about to unload, the lift slowed down to a crawl. This is one of those lifts that has a useful purpose at the resort, but the efficiency is subpar. This lift needs a revamp to mitigate slows and stops, so Chair 6 will be getting a 2 out of 5.
Big Creek Express. Second lift to the summit, this 1997 Garaventa SeaTech high-speed quad is the main lift on the backside of Whitefish. The old SeaTech triple that this lift replaced lives at Hellroaring Basin on the other side. This is like a larger version of Snowshoe's Western Territory, with so many cruiser runs and a few glades in the area. But this lift is not without its flaws. Because this is one of the most popular intermediate terrain pods of the fish, the trails tend to get crowded, and Big Creek Express becomes a major choke point. Not to mention that this is the only lift that reaches the summit from the backside, which means that lines can get insanely long, especially on weekends and holidays. On the plus side, the lift runs at a consistently fast speed and hardly slows and stops, so the lines move relatively quickly, and by the afternoon, the lines will die down since most people will be heading back to the base. This lift will get a 4 out of 5.
Hellroaring. This SeaTech triple started off as the Big Creek chair in 1985. When the Big Creek Express came in, it was relocated to the Hellroaring Basin. In 2021, it was relocated again to a different part of the basin. Now the lift ends at Tony Matt and Big Ravine, below where the Snow Ghost Express ends. There are some difficult chutes in the basin, and Hellfire is a fantastic cruiser run. But there's a problem. Hellfire and most of the chutes are only accessible from the summit, so it's basically impossible to lap these from using this lift alone. I wish there was a better way to lap the upper half of the basin because the terrain is fantastic. There are several different ways to get into the basin, but they're funneled in such a way that the lift doesn't reach them. I'm sure lapping the terrain was harder in the initial configuration, but Whitefish did as much as they could to make the terrain more accessible. Hellroaring is getting a 4.
Easy Rider. Here it is again! You're seeing a lift that isn't Easy Rider, which means it wasn't open during my trip. Hooray! The clip is of Solitude's Honeycomb Return Lift, and Lift 9 looks very similar, so let's talk about what Lift 9 offers. Easy Rider is a 2006 Garaventa SeaTech quad, serving a series of green runs near the base lodge, and lower Inspiration runs alongside the lift, turning into Under Easy. Chair 9 came from Moab, Utah, and it was one of many relocations the resort did. Now that the Snow Ghost chairlift takes guests higher up the mountain, the lift is in its own little world and doesn't get you anywhere useful. The lift gets a 2. Not you, Honeycomb. You're great. Easy Rider, not so much.
Bad Rock. This Steel Coal triple came from a small Pennsylvania ski resort and was reinstalled in 2011 as an alternate route to chairs 1 and 2. When Chair 4 was installed in 2022, this lift was deemed redundant and is mainly used as an auxiliary lift, meaning it rarely runs during the winter season. However, because Chair 4 was closed during our trip, they had this lift running. Other than that, this lift is fairly useless now that Chair 4 is the main gateway out of the base lodge, so this guy gets a 1.5 out of 5. Flower Point. This Yan triple was relocated 3 times during its lifespan, and in 2014, it found its permanent home in Whitefish as part of an expansion on the backside. The lift serves several blues and some blacks within the expansion. You can also ski down to Bigfoot T-Bar from the top of this lift as well. However, it isn't high enough to reach other important areas. You can also access most of this lift's terrain from Chair 7. So for that, the lift gets a 3.
Bigfoot. This relocated T-bar was installed in 2000 as part of a small expansion area. It is considered an auxiliary lift and usually runs Friday through Sunday in the main season, but it can sometimes run other days, either because some of the main lifts are down or there's early season conditions in some places. When we were up there last January, they had this lift running all the days we were there because of early season conditions. There are several different cruiser routes to take through the trees, and when it's open, it's great exploring all the different routes. Bigfoot gets a 3.5 out of 5.
I'm overall happy with how this trip turned out. Despite Mother Nature giving us some lemons, I feel like we were able to make some good lemonade out of it. It sounds like this year Whitefish is having a better start to the season in terms of snow quality, and I hope that continues the rest of the season. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, share your thoughts about Whitefish in the comments, and I'll see y'all next time.